Hello, my friends. Hello, Linda and Guillaume. So glad to see you here and everybody else. You know who I am. I'm Rachel Archelaus. This is Carrie Roldan. We have been in business for ourselves for me, it's just been about over a decade. Carrie, probably similar. And I'm telling you that because today we're going to talk about money and charging and your pricing and this weird notion of charging what you're worth. Whoa, what does that even mean? And we're going to bust some myths that I have been seeing a lot lately. Like, you can always raise your price, but you can never lower it. Or trading is bad. Trading will keep you from making money. So I actually mapped out my money progression through life and in terms of charging and my prices. And we're just going to have a big old conversation about it. And hopefully you'll get some clarity if you've been wondering, what do I charge if you're just starting out? Or if you've been in business a while and you're like, I don't know where to go from here. It doesn't quite feel right. Maybe you're thinking of changing your business model and your pricing. So anyway, put all your comments and questions in the chat for us. We'll get to them. And thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Gina Maria, too. Yes, I love that you're all here. So, Carrie, you're here too. What do you think about this?
Well, girl, I feel like lately these calls, sometimes, okay, you guys know I'm on these calls because like I'm an expert, right? And yet lately I feel like, oh crap, these are all for me. Like every last one of them lately I'm like, that was for me. So I'm wondering if this is like, which often happens actually. Sometimes on these calls, I feel like I get to coach Rachel through something. But lately, I've been feeling like Rachel gets to coach me through something. So this is either going to be an incredible conversation of us sharing stories, sharing wisdom and insight that we've learned over the years, or it's going to be you guys watching me in the middle of a meltdown and Rachel coaching me through it one way or another. Because I feel like, I think you just alluded to it, I feel great actually about how far I've come on this journey. I was reflecting, I can't believe I've been in business for as long as I have. Like my youngest is 12, and I think I know I was pregnant with her when I got my life coach certification, which is sort of like the beginning of my journey. So I wouldn't quite say I was in business yet, but like that's when I was like, okay, I'm starting a business, right? So I didn't have one yet, but I felt like I was there. So that's 12 years. And I remember meeting with people over that time, charging what they were charging, having full like client loads, like talking about the stuff that we're talking about now, and just thinking like, God, I wish I could make that happen. Like what's the secret? What did they do? And now, of course, sitting here, I realize they did all the things that I've been doing over the past 12 years. They had to grow into themselves the same way that I did. But I definitely feel like I'm making a pivot right now, and I have to grow in a whole new way. And I'm excited for it. And I've learned so much. Like I'm so much wiser on the journey, but I definitely am feeling all the feels of like, well, crap. Can I even charge for this? Is it a real thing? But I don't want to work for pennies. Do I just I'm in it with you guys. Like, and I've been here before. I know better, and I'm in it with you guys. So I'm excited for the conversation as always.
Excellent. Yeah, it is a progression, isn't it? Like, that's what I have found. So where do we start? I think I just want to start by telling you where I've come from this year. Because let me shocker here. I have decided to lower my prices this year, and I'll tell you why. It's because of this. It's because of this and a couple other things, actually, to be completely honest. So we'll start here. And this was a drawing I did in December. How can I harness abundance for existing? This is my goal, right? I am a multi-dimensional creator being. I'm the one that creates and allows the abundance into my life, right? The story is my clients pay me. The story is I got a tax refund. The story is my dad sent me a check for my birthday for $50, whatever. Like, there are stories on this physical plane of how money gets to us, but how it comes, how much of it comes, what we let into our bank accounts is completely dependent on our internal vibration around money. So that's pretty huge. And I can expect that. I firmly know that and believe that. And so that's where this drawing came from. How can I do that? How can I allow this to happen more often? How can I be abundant just for existing? And this drawing just felt so down to earth. Like, it's my two grounding colors. And it felt like a flower. It felt like embracing. It felt like what is important to me. And so I wrote down some of those things, and it felt easy. It felt accessible. It felt just like Gina Maria brought up, that a lot of coaches do not list their prices on their website. You have to talk to them first, then they go through this whole spiel, and then they tell you the price, and you're supposed to wait. And I did that for a long time, and it worked for me, and it was great. But I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have my price on my website. I want people to know what I charge before I talk to them. I want them to just book a call and then I show up. I don't want to have the intermediate conversation anymore. Nothing wrong with that. But this is not that. This is ease, right? That's why I wore my Ease is Easy shirt today, which is listed down below, I think. So that's where I'm coming from this year, is I am taking my own lead and following my alignment and ease into a place of more relaxation around my prices. What also is helping me do that is that my story of how I get abundance changed a lot this year, because I basically don't have to worry about that anymore. Like, I don't need to work to save for retirement. I don't need to work to pay my bills. And that's because my internal vibration of alignment, which I worked on a lot last year, abundance, has done the work for me. So that's pretty cool, right? Like, if you do focus on feeling abundant, feeling relaxed, feeling good, feeling like everything is working for you, feeling like you are your own creator, and that can really, you can crystallize that. I know a lot of you are saying like, yes, I do that. But if you can really do it, right, then your story will change. Your story will change. And so if you ask yourself the question, like, okay, well, if everything was taken care of for me, what would I want to charge? What would I want my business to look like? What would I want to feel around my pricing and how people book with me? Right? That's kind of like the thing that I did, is just, okay, I'm in this relaxed place because I have upped my vibration and my life has changed accordingly, which is how it works. So now what do I want to do? What is the most relaxing way I can approach this? And so that went into my decision too. So I just want to say that because we are always talking about vibration first. Even today, when we're talking about down to earth, nitty gritty, what price do you put on your website or not? So always vibration first.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, even before we get going, if there's questions, if there's resistance to that. Because I'll be honest, I was a little bit resistant to Rachel lowering her prices initially. Like, that always seems like a bad idea, right? Like, it didn't take me very long to feel into it. All it took actually was one conversation with Rachel and where she was and how she was feeling, and I got it. But I'm just wondering, as consumers, I mean, I love a good deal. And there is an association with price and quality, right? There is an association, or there can be an association between oh, if I have to choose the coach that, if all other things equal, do I choose the coach that seems like a bargain, or do I choose the coach that seems like an up level? Do I choose the coach that seems like a reach? And so I'd like to play devil's advocate there, if you're willing to play it with me, Rachel. Tell me the truth of what's going on there.
The truth. Well, I don't really know what you mean by that, because I just told you the truth, but like,
I mean, inside of me, if I'm the person,
oh, okay.
if I'm looking at two different coaches going, okay, do I choose the coach? I'm looking, I really want X result, and both of these coaches are promising me that result. This one is $99 and this one is $9,000. Right? I mean, maybe it's not that extreme, but
Yeah.
What's going on inside of me when I'm there? When I choose
Well, I think there's probably a lot of scarcity mindset. So I know when I was starting out, I definitely started off with a coach that I could not afford. Absolutely, I could not afford. I made it work. I didn't default. I didn't do any of that, but it was way beyond my capability. And I was like, okay, well, I'm starting off in business. I need to have this person who is wildly successful and psychic to teach me how to do this. And you know what happened? Absolutely nothing. They did not help me at all. And I wasted a lot of money. I even canceled on them and still had to continue paying them because that was what I signed up for. So in the beginning, there can be a lot of, I'll go to the chart. So in this beginning thing, oftentimes we are afraid to accept money. We are afraid of charging people anything for our own services. And I wrote, this is kind of like what's going through our heads. I can't charge money for this. I can't take money. I can't take advantage of people. I can't. But that also means that we are putting our hands up to accepting abundance, which means we're going to get rid of money as fast as we possibly can, which means we're probably going to go into debt in order to start our business and hire a coach we can't afford. So I think there's a lot of that. Like when you are looking for a plumber, do you specifically seek out the most expensive plumber, or do you seek out the one with the best reviews or who is accessible or can come on time? Like, you don't automatically go buy the most expensive car just because you think that's going to be the best. So in the coaching world, there's just a lot of shoulds and have tos that don't need to apply to you. And I think that would be my answer to your question.
Yeah, you answered that beautifully. And my response, like, to continue that, like, is there's psychology going on inside of the person making the choice. Gina Maria said, Carrie, you take the one that you vibed the best with. Yes. And I think that's all I want to say about this. Yes. Like, you get a knowing, and it doesn't matter what they charge. I've had some, I will just speak as a consumer for a minute, because getting to my own prices and getting comfortable charging, like, I think I was on a similar journey as you, Rachel. But my own journey as a consumer, my first few things that I was investing in my business out of desperation. I was investing because there was a promised result and I wanted that result so much. And I felt like the promised result was a guarantee if I could just come up with the money. And what I learned is actually I am the guarantee. Like, it's up to me what I do with anything. And I don't know if I was telling you this or if I was telling someone else this, but honestly, like, I feel like I have a little bit of investing PTSD. And so what happened for me after that is I got to a place where I couldn't invest anymore. And yet I still needed help. I still needed support. I still needed all these things. And they just showed up for me in, like, pretty miraculous and amazing ways where people wanted to trade or someone wanted to hire me for this. And in the hiring me for something, they gave me or taught me what I needed to know. And like just cool stuff happened because I got to a place where I was no to investing, but a yes to receiving. And all kinds of amazingness came. And I'm thinking about courses that I just invested in something recently because I was a yes to it and because the price point was like ridiculously low. Like I think if I was really thinking about like, oh, I want to take a course on this and I was looking for the best course on this, I wouldn't have chosen this one because it was like, I mean, the price was like $100 and something. Like it was so low. But when I saw the like advertisement for it, I was an instant yes. I didn't care what the price was. I didn't know if it was going to be $100 or, you know, $1,500 or $15,000. I probably would have been a no to 15,000, but I was a yes inside. So I was hoping it wasn't 15,000 and it wasn't. And so, yeah, Gina Maria, you're 100% right. Like it is the vibe. It's the vibe. And that course has been pivotal for me, like a total catalyst. I was a yes to it because it was a yes. It was my next best move.
I love that.
Yeah. I said a lot of things. What did you pick up?
Yeah, no, I picked up that you are feeling your way through. And once you can get to the point, right, after we're afraid, we learn how to be accepting. We learn how to be accepting. And whether that's through trading, which is a great way to grow your confidence, to get what you need without having to have money to exchange it. Money is just an exchange of value. So trading is the same exact thing. I don't know why some people are so negative about it. But if you
I can tell you why, Rachel.
Why?
Trading. Because I've made some bad trades. And so like you do still have to trust yourself in a trade.
That you're not. But I'm just meaning like I've been through a lot of courses in the past where teachers are explicit, like, do not trade or you will never make money.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
No.
Because you're learning how to accept.
Yep.
Yeah. But you too, yes, still have to be discerning for sure.
Well, and you learn, but like I learned through trading, like sometimes I would say yes to something because someone was willing, right? And then it was like, ooh, that's not an even exchange. Actually, I didn't really need what you had, but you really needed what I had. Like I should have charged you for that. Next time I will, right?
Yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah. So we learn how to accept and we can find support without actually needing money. And we can grow our confidence and we can finally open our arms to abundance coming to us and support and help and all the things that we love. And then money becomes fun. Money becomes fun. And this is the part that's interesting. So I want to bring up a couple comments here because money got fun, money got easy, but I was still spending all of my money and sometimes more money than I had. So let me see. Gina Maria she says, not beyond your capability, beyond your budget, it's different. I learned, and I think Carrie maybe learned this too, if I can't afford something, I don't need it. There is another way to get that, right? Like maybe it's different if you're talking about a house because you need a mortgage. Usually you're not buying houses in cash. Sometimes cars, you want to pay them off quickly, but sometimes you need to, get a car loan to get the car that you want or that is safe. So I'm not saying this across the board, but when it comes to business, you usually 99% of the time don't need to invest beyond your means in order to get what you need. And I mean, I've done business with a bigger team, with more help and, more like 20-hour week assistants and several contractors. I've done it by myself without an assistant for years. Like I've done it all kinds of ways, investing a lot in advertising, not investing in anything. And I've definitely racked up debt and had no debt. Like I've done it all different kinds of ways. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with investing and going into debt for your business. But if it's just you're kind of building things on your own, you want this to be more of a lifestyle thing where you make a really great income, but you're not like, you know, building an entire firm or something, a big startup. I really don't think that you need to go into debt in order to get the education or the help that you need. I think it can be done a million other ways. And in that case, I would say my other favorite phrase is let your vibration do the work, right? Just like Carrie did, find the place where you feel confident in what you're doing, excited about what you want to do with people, and let that excitement and enthusiasm draw the support and the resources that you need to you. I really don't like it when people go into debt to work with me. Usually it doesn't happen or they don't tell me that, but like I like people to be relaxed working with me. I don't want them to be worried about money and how they're going to pay their bills. As a coach, that is the best way to work with people. And so I would just advise, if you can't afford it, don't buy it.
I mean, I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about more in our industry. So if you're watching this and you're not a coach, but you are hiring coaches, like I really want you to hear this. A lot of people are trained to like, well, okay, I say this. We never want to judge what you can and can't afford, right? We also don't want to be working with someone who's like, well, this better work by tomorrow or I'm not going to be able to make my next payment, right? Like I'm going to be homeless. If working with you doesn't work, then like that's not the vibration that any of us want to be working in. And yet, at least when I got started in this industry, that was kind of like the approach that a lot of people were like coaching coaches on how to sell. Like if you're not willing to invest beyond your means, you're not serious about your dreams. So I just want you to hear that we know you're serious about your dreams and we want you to feel safe and comfortable in your life. Like we want you to have a roof over your head. And I just think that's really, really important because I remember being in that place and feeling shamed because I was not willing to invest anymore. Like I was very serious about building my dreams and wasn't willing to like sacrifice my children's future or you know what I mean? Like it was, so anyways, I guess I just need to say that out loud. Like there is the statement is true. When there's a will, there's a way, right? When you honestly, you get what you believe and do not doubt, right? You get what you believe and you don't resist. And so it's what is the size of your resistance? And for me, my resistance showed up early on in like all of these masterminds or programs that I was like, if I was just in that, I would get what I want. I would get the business I want. I would get that, right? But that was like so far out of reach. And now I know sitting here having what I want, having so much of what I want that I'm in the space of like, okay, now what do I want? What is the next phase? Like now I'm in the stretchy, growy, like kind of emotional soup of like reaching for the next thing. I lost my train entirely, Rachel, bring it back.
Yeah. It's just, we don't need to like, there is a stretching point, which Carrie is talking about, the stretchy growy of like, so here money is fun, right? And then here we're going to stretch, right? Should I increase my price? Should I go for it? Should I grow? Right? We all kind of get to that point. And then a lot of us, if we do go for it, we find that breakthrough of like, I'm worth it. I can do it. This worked out for me. I've made it, right? And that is such a fantastic place to be. But it's also sometimes an eye-opening place of like, oh, okay, so it's not all about the money. We have the money. We're charging the fees. We are working with people to the best of our ability. We're showing up at our peak. We are helping people in the way we always wanted to. It's going really well. Everything's incredible. Now what? And you know what I mean? Like, that's where I got to last year, which is like, all right, I have embodied this high-end coaching model. It's working well for me. People are doing great. I love the people I'm working with. I love the work I'm doing. And yet there are things about it that I don't like. I am finding the discomfort in the business model itself, in the not telling people the price, and the not being upfront, and the having the conversation. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That carried me through really, really, really well. And I don't regret any of that. But once you reach that story, you notice a lot of things. Like your abundance vibration is in a place where you're allowing that kind of abundance to come to you through your work. You're also, though, in that set point, and so abundance is finding you from other places. And so for me, my life recalibrated in a way that would allow me to be completely comfortable in my business model and to not have any kind of little wobbles or niggles, and to still have the abundance and to still do the same work with people. And so for me, that is where I am now coming down and making a little mountain, which I love, to be more relaxed and aligned and easy. So I think there's all kinds of different phases that we're going to go through. And Shannon is saying she's in that first phase where the fear is really there and she's afraid to ask for money. And so in that state, Shannon, maybe you want to do some trades and ask for testimonials and experience yourself doing the work that you want to be doing. Maybe you want to charge an intro rate, right, of like half off what you think you would want to charge, and see how that feels and build up. There was another, this is such a great question. I have this in my notes actually. Is the goal to help as many people as possible or to make money, or both? I think it's neither of those. I think the goal is to experience yourself doing what you want to do. Like, I love showing up for people and being completely present with them and doing my best to mirror their higher self. That is what I'm in communication with when I'm talking to people. And it feels so good that I love, 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 love to do it as often as I can. That's why I work. That is why I do it, because it feels good. And I get to charge money for that because it's a service that, would be traded for value. And I get to help people because the work involves other people. But I don't think the goal is to help as many people as possible, because that takes me out of the equation. How do I feel helping 4 people as opposed to 70 people? How do I feel, right? You want to make sure you are in the center of that. You want to make sure that you're doing this so that you maintain that excellent feeling that has you capable of doing it in the first place. And then to make money, businesses are supposed to make money. So there is a lot of value in making sure that your fees cover your overhead, right? Are you able to feed yourself and house yourself and pay your insurance and pay your taxes and, be able to do the things that you need to do in life? Can your business provide that to you? Are your fees high enough to do that? And in the beginning, when you don't have any clients, you're like, well, I don't know. Like, do I need to charge my one single client $10,000 a month? Not necessarily, but you can figure out how many clients you want to see in a week, or how many jewelry pieces you want to create in a week. How many do you think you could, easily sell? Do you have a plan for how to sell them? And then just kind of figure out over time, all right, well, I could charge this much if I see 8 clients and that's comfortable. Or I can charge this much and I can really only see 4. That's my limit of my mental sanity. Figure out those numbers and then let that dictate your fee, right? So I see a lot of people in the beginning just charge like absolute rock bottom because they think that's the only thing that makes them competitive. People will only want me if I'm the lowest price thing. No, not true. You need to make sure you're paying yourself a living wage first. and then just go up from there. So that was like a lot that I just threw at you, but
Well,
it's for beginners.
I have comments on that because I find that most people early on, when I ask them, like, okay, describe to me like your dream business or whatever, they tend to like say like, oh, I would have like 20 clients and I would have, and it's because like they're associating dollars, or they're thinking more is more, right? And then the more we go, exactly what Rachel just talks about, like, okay, well, so if you had 20 clients paying you $1,000 a month, then you're making $20,000 a month. Is that your goal? Yeah, that's my goal. And then, when do you go on vacation? How do you, like, they realize like, oh, I don't want 20 clients. Like, wow, 20 clients, at least for me, 20 clients sounds like a lot, right? Some people, depending on how you work with people. Anyways, all I'm getting at is people tend to initially, like, they're just excited about the idea of volume because right now there's nothing, right? Right now there's nothing. And so and so you can expect it to be a journey. You can expect to, like, I still don't know what my dream, like my dream life just keeps evolving. I just see a little bit further down the road at a time. So give yourself a break and um, let it happen naturally, where maybe you get your first, you realize, let's use the jewelry example. When you're having that conversation, you're thinking about, oh my God, it'd be amazing to sell 100 pieces of jewelry a day. And then you realize that means I have to make X amount of, that means I spend all my time making jewelry. I don't have any, my hands hurt now, right? Like, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And in the beginning too, you don't know how to sell all the things that you want to sell, right? So that's another reason why I'm always like not a jump off the cliff person. Continue to work while you start your business, or have a part-time job while you start your business, and figure all this stuff out. There's a lot to figure out with having your own business. It's just a lot, right? We're just so brought up in a employer-employee relationship world. And unless you had a parent who was an entrepreneur or had their own business, there's just so much that we don't know. I didn't know what marketing meant when I started my business. My first coach was like, well, you want to spend, at least 30% of your time marketing, and then, 70% of your time, delivering to clients. And I was like, what is marketing? What do we do? What is that thing? Like, there's just so much to learn. So find resources. There are tons of YouTube channels will tell you how to do all of this stuff. Make sure you have your discernment meter on, right? Only what is going in for you, what's actually resonating in your body, is going to be helpful to you. Otherwise, all of the cross noise will be really annoying and you'll be more confused. But that's why, okay, this is a vibrational journey first. Remember, vibrational journey first. If you feel worthy of accepting money for your services or your goods, you will. There will be clients and customers that show up for you, and they will be, I don't know how I found you, but this stuff is great. Can I pay you for it? That happens to me all the time. People never know how they find me, except for Gina Maria. She took a different class from a different teacher who had my free class in her work and never even told me about it. Hello, vibrational alignment. Really cool. So let your vibration do the work. This is not a mental game. This is an alignment game. So let the alignment lead, okay? Let the alignment lead, which means meditation. I am worthy of receiving money. How does that feel in your body? I am worthy of receiving money, not just from other people, but from yourself. I'm going to let my higher self find a way to give me money. I'm going to let my higher self have full permission to shower me with abundance. Feel how that feels. If it feels uncomfortable, you have work to do. And it's good to know that. So do more silent meditation, do more walking, do more love for yourself. All the things will definitely help you make money in a very comfortable way. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, is the goal to help as many people as possible, or to make money, or both? The goal is for you to be the best version of you in this world. And that means your feelings come first, and the rest will absolutely happen automatically from that.
You guys, I feel like we say this in a different way every time we talk, but like, can you hear that? I needed to hear that again and again and again and again. I still need to hear it again and again. But it really is that simple. I'm thinking about all the ways things have come to me because I haven't allowed money. Like, it's like I have this desire, this very, very strong desire, and this very, very strong resistance. And so the money has not always come in the ways that I wanted it to come in because I had some strong beliefs about, even though I wanted it so badly to come in that way, I also had all sorts of crap around why it couldn't come in that way. But it's always come in. It's always come. And I really do think, at least for me, that's super important to remember on the journey. When things become uncomfortable, when things become unclear, is to like remember the truth. Is that like, it can't not, I've already created it. It can't not get here. My job is just to align to it and to stop trying to micromanage it.
Yeah. All right. So let's do the infamous charge what you're worth piece.
Oh boy.
So, by the way, not to like toot my own horn because I'm not trying to do that, but this is the kind of business training I wish existed or I had access to when I started my business. Like, seriously, maybe it was around, but I didn't find it. So, charge what you're worth. It's a great intention, maybe, because again, we don't want to be the bottom of the barrel price and think that that's the only way we can compete. Not true. And compete is just a word I'm using. I don't believe in competition. How can you charge what you're worth if you're priceless? Right? Gina Maria said it before. How can you charge what does that mean? Does that mean that the plumber coming over should charge me $20,000 to clear my pipes because I would be really, really unhappy to have like a flooded house? Does that mean that the coach that I just hired should charge me a ton more because I'm like really interested in figuring some stuff out right now? You know, what does that even mean? What does it even mean? Charge what you're worth. You are worth infinity. You are worth the universe. Your worth is not quantifiable. My brain is about to explode. You're worth so much. So it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Charge what makes sense for you to charge. I don't think you need to be able to afford yourself necessarily. Like that's perfectly fine if you want to charge more than you would spend for a service. I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as it's aligned for you. And depending on who you want to be your client, right? Can your ideal client afford you? Maybe it would be a stretch, which is fine. Stretching is fine. But like, if you want to charge $100,000 a year, but you also want to work with school teachers, maybe that's not a great fit, right? And you'll know that internally. It's not really a brain thing. Maybe you want to charge less than what a lot of people are charging, right? I'm still not doing that. Like, I didn't lower my prices to like that would be out of alignment for me to charge, like $100 a session. That's just not what I'm going to charge. But maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe the going rate is $200 an hour and you want to charge $100 an hour. But if that is what you really feel is aligned for you, then you have to go with that. So you can look at your industry. You can look at, plumbers are charging $85 an hour, and I'm a plumber and I'm going to charge $85 an hour. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's so personal depending on who you want to work with, what your cost of living is, what circles you run in, even like who do you have access to? because that's telling you where your vibration is at. It's not necessarily that you're looking to the outside world for the cue, you're just looking for the clue, right, of where you're currently vibrating. So when I go to the spa and get a massage, it costs me about $120 with tip, right? If you go to the spa and spend $350 on a massage, like, right, it doesn't mean your massage is better. It's just this is where I'm vibrating with that service. It's just relative, right? This is why you can take a pricing class, which would make you, if it would make you feel better, go for it. But it's really got to be an internal thing. I do it by throwing out a couple prices and seeing how I feel about it now and in a couple days from now. I had other pricing in mind actually when I first talked to Carrie, and I've actually simplified it even more to eliminate a lower and a higher price. So I found my sweet spot for now until I decide to change my mind. Pricing is also really fluid, right? You can raise your price every client, you can lower your price, you can change it depending on who you're talking to. I've had a coach where we determine the price together on our intro call, where I threw out a number that was comfortable to me. She led me through this little meditation. I mean, it was a little anxiety producing for me, honestly. Wouldn't really recommend that, but you can have a pay what you want thing. It's totally up to you, is what I'm trying to say.
Gosh, I'm thinking about so many things right now, but I want to go back to the charge what you're worth. So that was always really hard for me because I didn't know what I was worth. I know what okay. Actually, back then I didn't know what I was worth. But also it was like, we're not talking about what you are worth. We're talking about when people say charge what you're worth, what they're really suggesting is can you quantify the value to the other person? So early on, that was like, if they know and implement what you have to offer, if service-based stuff, what is that going to mean for them, right? So especially in the world of coaching, it was like, if they pay you $100, can they make $1 million, right? Well, then, so it was that sort of thing. And I'll tell you what helped me, because maybe this is going to help someone watching, or we can use the example of jewelry, right? If I wear that jewelry that maybe you sell job interview earrings, magic job interview earrings, and I wear them to the job interview and I land the job, or confidence earrings or whatever, right? There are lots of you guys watching, I know, are artists who infuse your work with some sort of energy and intention, right? If I hang that painting on my wall and I walk past it every day and I'm going to feel confident, how much can that impact my life, right? Like, so that's what they were suggesting, right? Is like, if I buy this painting, am I going to show up differently in my world? What is that worth, right? Like, is that worth $100,000 because I'm going to make $1 million, or, right? That's what they were getting at. So what helped me a lot was early on, I was doing a ton of stuff for free. I was doing a ton of stuff for free because I had no idea that what I had to offer was worth anything. I was living in my land of I'm not worthy and I'm not enough, and I'll just be super helpful to a lot of people. I also didn't even have boundaries on my time. So people would be like, hey, I'd love to meet. Can you meet? And I would like arrange my whole world to meet with these people. And then I would give away the farm for free, but I didn't even know I was giving away anything because I was just talking to them. But what they would wind up telling me, I had to hear it several times before I finally heard it, was like, holy shit, Carrie, you just helped me more in 1 hour than in that $10,000 course I just paid for. You just helped me more in 30 minutes than that $1,500 course I just paid for. You just, like, I heard it enough times. Holy crap, one conversation with you, and I now have what I need. And that is when I then understood, oh, what I have to offer has value. That is different than how much do you value yourself? How much do you value your time? That did come later, right? That came, but it was like, oh, I can charge something. And so that's what I want you guys to hear first. I went from like, I don't know, I want to eventually make $1 million, but I don't know. to like, oh, listening to people. So when Rachel talked about making trades for testimonials, I was doing that I didn't even know I was trading. Like I was just doing that. And that was an important realization. So I hope that hit whoever needed to hear it. And I do want you to hear, I accidentally gave away some marketing advice in terms of like, you can package what you offer to, what's the difference between the job interview earrings and the green earrings? Nothing, except for I'm going to buy one of them and assume I'm going to land the job. Those are suddenly worth more to me than the green ones. Okay, I've talked for a minute. Did I just undermine what you were saying, Rachel? I didn't think so.
Not at all. No, it was perfect. Yes. And I think that's the difference between charge what you're worth and charge what your service is worth or what your good is worth. Like there's a level of detachment in there. I think it's really, really helpful because like Dale is saying, that's a thing too, isn't it? Recognizing what's easy for you is super valuable to others. Yes, that is it. And honestly, that's where I've come to as well. What I was doing with people was super easy and super genuine for me. And it's what I want to continue doing. But I didn't need all of this big structure around it. Like the structure that I had built was the unnatural part for me. And so eliminating that makes my job even easier and makes my life feel even more natural and more easy. So, yes, find out what your offer is worth to other people in a real, tangible way. What are people actually willing to pay you for it? And make sure that you're asking the people you would really want to be working with, though, right? Like I know there's this thing, your ideal avatar, customer, target market. If you don't know what that is, who's around you right now? Who is showing up in your life? Who are you naturally attracting? That's who I ended up working with too. Like intuitive artists and musicians and people who are creative. Like that's who shows up for me. And they've always been there. They've been my friends, the people who are in my life. So if you're going for something different from that, if you're building in even more of a like strategic business where we're like leaving this realm of like, okay, just supernatural already there, bringing the people in, right? Where you're like, thinking of it as a separate company, as a separate firm, you're targeting certain demographic that's not currently in your life. That's not my specialty. But I would still say you need to feel comfortable and aligned 90% of the time. It might feel a little stretchy sometimes, but you want to feel comfortable about your prices. You want to feel like you can talk about them and not crumble under the weight of that. You want to make sure that things are flowing for you, because if they're not, you're just going to block whatever would naturally come anyway.
What I'm thinking about now, Rachel, is how that evolved for me. So it turns out this whole thing is telling my money story. But what wound up happening for me is I went from that, like, oh, I guess what I have to offer, even though I haven't put a label on it. Remember, Rachel, when you turned on your light, the dots went away? You don't have a light this time? I see you moving out.
I know. I had shifted my shades, but my shades are already where they were last time. So.
Oh, sad. All right. I enjoy watching the dots move across your face as the hour goes on. So you're like your perfect sundial. Anyways, what happened for me, you guys, is I went from like offering, because they were teaching coaches like offer a strategy session, do it this way. And I was doing it and I was like in my anxiety and are they going to like me? And are they going to buy? And they would say, just show up for them and don't be attached. And I was like, oh my God, I need clients. Like, how do I just show up for them and not be attached? I'm following this template and I'm doing I was trying to do everything right and I was a wreck. And once I had enough of those conversations where people were like, wow, this was way more helpful than crap I've paid for. Thanks. They didn't call it crap, but they were telling me like people who I knew were charging a lot and who I really admired, they would say like, wow, I worked with so-and-so for a year and didn't get what you gave me in an hour. And I want to give credit where credit is due, right? They worked with so-and-so to get them to the place where they were ready to hear what I had to say. So high five to so-and-so. But the point is, then when I started doing strategy sessions, I could relax and I could know that there was value because I had enough people who had told me that was really valuable. Thanks. So then when people said, what does it look like to work with you? I could feel safe and secure and relaxed in the price that I offered. And I did change a bunch of things that, but I also I remember people saying, don't offer packages or don't offer payments, don't offer hourly, like just offer a big package. But what I needed at that time in my life was recurring monthly revenue that felt safe. And so that's what I offered. I offered X amount of dollars a month and this many sessions because that felt good and that felt safe. And the point I want to get to is once I was clear that what I have to offer has value and it feels good and safe to offer it this way, people signed up left and right until I was ready to step into the next thing. Until I was like, oh, now I have more clients than I want to have. Oh, now this feels like a little bit more work. And that's the second thing I want to say. You talked about like now you're eliminating some of the structures. I think one thing that comes in with our prices is we feel like we have to add stuff in to like justify them because what Dale said, like what I have to offer feels so relaxed and easy. Like it doesn't feel like work at all. It just feels like, oh, all right, who am I talking to today? Right. I don't need to offer a bunch of deliverables. I just worked with a client who was like, I'm thinking about offering this. And I was like genuinely interested in what she had to offer. But then when she presented it, I was like, oh no, I don't want any of that. And luckily I had a conversation with her and was like, oh, that I thought I wanted what you have to offer, but it seems like that you're not offering what I want. And she was like, oh, thank God you told me. Because I was just adding stuff that I was trying to justify. And I'm like, girl, you're enough. Like, I just want to be in your presence. Like you bring the magic. You don't need to offer this and that and these kind of sessions. And so what I'm getting at is if you find yourself doing that, you're adding stuff in to justify the price. You're adding more, right? You don't need it. You don't need it. Whatever you have to offer is perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that really goes along with like making sure your vibration is up to snuff and your worthiness, because that's one of the biggest things that I did early on in my going from afraid to fun journey was I over delivered and I over spent to make sure that my clients were getting that like VIP feel. And so I wasn't really making any money. I would highly recommend the book Profit First for anyone in a business to make sure you're paying yourself first, because it doesn't matter if you make $1 million. If you haven't paid yourself anything, what was the point other than experiencing yourself? So do we want to make money from our business? As Shannon asked before, it's easy for me to say it's not the main goal. Vibrationally, it's not the main goal, but you want to retain some of that money that you are making, right? So if you are making money, you want to pay yourself first in any capacity, whether it comes from your business or from anywhere else. Not just for retirement, but for your life, for you getting a return physically from the work that you're doing, right? We exist on all dimensions, right? Why are we having to charge money? Because there's a thing called food and mortgage and, whatever else you need to purchase in your life. So the money is really the part of that physical manifestation of the work that we're doing vibrationally and that we're so invested in the world, right? And so we have to fill out all of these dimensions in order to be whole, integrated beings. So if we're throwing the money away, even if we're making it, we're not really completing that circuit, right? So make sure you read Profit First. If you aren't good at that, I was not good at that. I had to learn that. But as you can see, over the course of a decade, a lot of things can change. If you work on your abundance vibration, just by feeling abundant as much as you can, being happy with the things that you have right now, more will come. So, not this one. Dale asked a really good question. Can you two speak to how you feel when you're doing your work with others? I realized I like working alongside creatively with others. So for me, I feel in the moment, I feel alive, I feel engaged, I feel like I'm using most of myself, if not all of myself, in that moment. Like I'm plugged in, I'm channeling, and I am in communion with that person and their energetic being. And if I'm working alone, on my own writing or my own art, I feel the same way with myself and with the piece of work that I'm working on. I feel engaged, I feel enlivened, I feel present, I feel excited. And so that is how I feel when I'm working. What about you?
I mean, same, right? What has happened for me over the years is, I think what you're discovering, Dale, is like, oh, I really like to work alongside others. I don't want to be alone in my business. I also recognize, though, like, I remember early on thinking I wanted to build like a coaching empire. And somewhere along the line, I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to build a coaching empire. Like, I love showing up in this way, and I want opportunities to do that. And I want my business to stay simple. And that was a thing to recognize. But to answer your question, Dale, I feel like I'm channeling. I feel relaxed. I always tell people I have my two jobs: show up, be awesome. Like, that's it. And so be awesome just means be relaxed, be myself, trust that the awesomeness is coming through. And I mean, luckily for me, it generally does. But I also want to say that I've also learned like how I want to work, right? So I really love facilitating group conversations. Like, initially people were like, leverage your time, sell group programs. Like, what I recognize is like, oh, I love being in those groups. I love being in that energy. So I want to work that way. And even with, Rachel and I do one-on-one coaching with people where she shows up for like the longer format one-on-one calls. And I show up, we have an app where I'll communicate via video all month long with the client on the other side, just being there in little snippets, like being there. We call it pocket consulting, like being the BFF that's in their pocket that they can. I freaking love that. Like, that is my favorite way to be, because again, showing up and being awesome, and even better, it's on my time, right? It's a way to sneak a little more amazingness into the cracks of my day. And so that's something that I've learned. I know that's not exactly what you asked, but like learning not just how to feel. What I've learned is 100% alignment is what I can have, right? Like, I don't need to settle for like, okay, get on my calendar and make an appointment and do, like, if that's not how I want to work, I can work however the heck I want.
Yeah. And that comes through trial and error and practice. Like we're saying in this cool progression here is things can change. Things can change because you change. You change over time and you decide, oh, I want to feel more of this now, or I want to feel more of that now, or I want more time devoted here. So how do I change my business to accommodate that? That's another reason that I changed my schedule this year. So we want to bring it back to you and your vibration. So you got to do that work. You can't get around that and expect things to change in your physical world, right? So easy enough. meditate more. If you've done our aligned up level, go back to that. If you have those recordings, that is absolutely an exceptional way to go. If you have now $149 a month, or even cheaper if you want to purchase 6 months, come and join us in our group. We do group coaching together and with Intimate Alien, and we have over a dozen courses that can help you in your life and business and vibrational alignment. And it is such a wonderful community. I mean, I am not a group person. You guys know this about me. And apparently now I am a group person because I have like all these people that I talk to at the gym. Like, whoa, if I can do it, you can do it. And it will enhance your life. People always even come into like the certification that I have, not wanting to talk to the group, not wanting to show up to the live stuff. And then we ask them when they graduate, what was the best part for you? It was the group. So it's true in our group coaching as well. But not only that, you get this, but to your face. You get us feeling into you. You get us supporting you, guiding you, and knowing that you are the authority. You are your own creator. That is really invaluable, if I do say so myself. So it's what I wish I had when I was starting out. It's what I wish I had now. That's why we created it and we show up to it. So if you want to check that out, you can go to intuitiveart.com/membership. And that page will show you all the things that we offer. And you can sign up just on a monthly basis. There's no commitment. Or if you want to save some money, you can purchase 6 months. So we really welcome you there. It's really wonderful. And I do send out some things throughout the year that are kind of sneaky and fun. So, I mean, we're over time. I do have a couple more things on my list, but this is just such a huge topic. I hope you enjoyed today, and I hope you got something out of it. And Carrie, anything you want to close with?
Just you're worth it, right? Like you are valuable and you're worth it and you're on a journey. So love yourself on the journey. Let your vibration do the work. As with all the voices, if you're in business for yourself or you're trying to make money doing what you love, of all the voices that are coming to you, listen to this one. Listen to this one. It knows.
So true. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.